Here are 23 LinkedIn settings that can hurt your sales if you don't change them now. For this first setting, go to Me, Settings and Privacy, and in Account Preferences, go down to Showing Profile Photos. Now, if you're using LinkedIn to grow your business, you want to build trust with the people who don't know you yet. And that means showing your face to the people who don't know you yet. This is social media, not build a fortress to hide myself from human contact media. So make sure you don't have any of these on, which limit who can see your photo, but instead set it to this: show your profile photo to all LinkedIn members. Now back to account preferences, the next setting I want to show you is in feed preferences. Even though most relevant posts is the default, some of you likely changed it to most recent posts because you don't like the LinkedIn algorithm, i.e. Big Brother, telling you what to read. And I get that. But if you're looking to grow your business on LinkedIn, the algorithm will help you. That's because when you set it to most recent posts, which is pretty much all the posts, your newsfeed is going to be filled with a lot of junk. There are a lot more posts that are salesy and a lot of posts that are just falling flat engagement-wise. If you want to see lots more valuable posts that are so much easier to engage with so you can build these relationships, setting it to most relevant posts will save you a ton of time so you can engage and then move on to other things that help you grow your business. Now, sign-in and security here has some important settings that a lot of people overlook and can affect your entire account, but it makes sense to talk about them at the end, so we'll get there soon. Now let's go to visibility and go to profile viewing options. In other words, what do people see when you have viewed their profile? Should you A, reveal your identity by showing your name and headline? B, go into semi-private mode with private profile characteristics, which is your job title, industry, and location, but nothing else? Or C, go in private mode so you're completely incognito. Now, I know some of you have set it to one of these, but the answer is reveal your identity, unless you're doing some quick competitive research or you're a stalker. And by the way, this channel is completely against stalking. That's where we stand. But really, if there's some real professional reason why you don't want someone to see you when you view their profile, go ahead and temporarily set it to semi-private mode or full private mode. Look at the profile, and then after you get out of it, change your settings back to your name and headline. In case you're wondering why I'm insisting you reveal your identity, it's because the whole point of networking is to meet people you don't already know. And for people who don't know you to get to know you. So if a stranger sees that you checked out their profile, and FYI, there's actually only a slim chance that they'll see that you specifically checked out their profile because chances are they have a free account and there are limits to what you can see in terms of who's seen your profile. But even if they do see that you saw their profile, there's a good chance that they'll view your profile back. And we want people looking at our profiles. We want to get noticed. Now, while we're still in visibility, go to edit your public profile, then edit visibility. This is where you control how people view your profile outside of LinkedIn, like through a Google search. And if you don't have your public profile's visibility set to on, you're leaving money on the table. You want to make it easy for people outside of LinkedIn to find you. And for your profile photo, make sure it's set to public so you can establish trust with the greatest number of people, and just have everything down here toggled on too. It's not like you're sharing your mother's maiden name or the name of your first pet or any other security information. Now, my next bit of advice goes against what a lot of other people say, but I feel really strongly about this, so we're going to do this. While we're still in visibility, go to connections. Some people have their connection visibility toggled off. In other words, they don't want people seeing their connections list. The main reason I hear people doing this is they're afraid that a competitor will swoop in and steal their customers, but this argument doesn't hold. For instance, I have 5,000 plus connections. Some of them are my clients, but you can't tell who they are. None of them have a client or a customer sign over their head. If a competitor of mine wants to waste their time sifting through 5,000 plus connections to try to figure out which of these folks are my clients, they can waste their time. And there are actually two more reasons to not have this toggled off. The first is that when you hide your connections, it shows a lack of transparency, which lowers trust. Second, toggling this off feeds into the mindset of scarcity. A scarcity mindset is going to hurt your business. You want to have a mindset of abundance. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding all new agey here. That's not my intention. But seriously, abundance. Okay, moving on. Down here for who can see your last name, a lot of people hide their last name to people outside their network. This is not good. If you were at an in-person networking event and you just met someone and they ask for your card, would you say, I'm sorry, I can't give you my card that has my full name on it because we just met, but I have this other card for you that has my first name and last initial, and when I feel you're worthy of knowing my full name, I'll give that to you. Always remember that LinkedIn is a networking event and we need to treat it that way. Next setting, profile discovery and visibility off LinkedIn. Make sure that's on. Now these next two are weird. Profile discovery using email address and using phone number. In other words, people can find you if they already have your email address or phone number. Set these to anyone and everyone. But I'm calling these two out because LinkedIn actually no longer allows people to sync their contacts. In other words, email addresses and phone numbers they already have into LinkedIn so they can find people they already know. Now, LinkedIn still shows me the contacts I've synced in the past, but who knows if that's going to be removed at some point. It feels like it's going to be. Just make sure that the people who already know you can find you on LinkedIn. Now, you might be surprised by this next one, which can save you from major embarrassment. Down here in Share Profile Updates with your network, you want this, believe it or not, toggled off. Let's say you're fiddling with your profile and you just make some changes that you don't necessarily want to alert your entire network about. Toggling this off as the default will make sure that doesn't happen. I once made the mistake where it was not toggled off and my network was notified and it caused a whole lot of confusion. So yeah. And by the way, if you ever make a change to your profile that you do want people to know about, some sections of your LinkedIn profile will allow you to toggle it back on within that actual section. By the way, this is not the only setting I'm going to urge you to turn off, so stay tuned. Now down here under mentions or tags, you don't want to miss the chance for free publicity. Please make sure people can mention or tag you in their posts. I've gotten some amazing connections this way. Now we're going to data privacy and then invitations to connect. I've surprisingly come across a handful of profiles over the last few months where there was literally zero option to connect with them. We all need to talk to each other, so make sure that everyone is entitled to send you an invitation to connect. Now this next setting, make sure you don't miss out on any opportunities to learn new things that can help you with your profession and grow your business. Go to invitations from your network. Now, I know it's tempting here not to allow people to invite you to follow their company page or attend their event or subscribe to their newsletter, but there's so much professional wisdom in all these places. Make sure they're turned on. Now, under messages, this has to do with accepting messages from people outside your network. Now, I know it's tempting to turn these off, and I've seen people have turned these off because you don't want to get spammed. We all hate those pushy salespeople who just look at us like we have a dollar sign or any currency sign on our foreheads. I call them LinkedIn losers. Too harsh? Let me know in the comments. But don't let those few annoying people get in the way of so many other opportunities. Now, this next setting is scary, and it hurt my business until I changed it. Go to messaging experience and then focused inbox. Focused inbox is your default inbox, and that's where LinkedIn puts your incoming mail that it thinks you want to read. And then everything else is dumped into other. Now, unfortunately, with this system, I have missed some important messages that were sent over to other. I just didn't think to look at a second inbox. I just want to see all my mail in one section. So if you're anything like me, make sure this is toggled off. Now, when we get to notifications, I am not going to tell you that you need to get notified of every single bit of activity through push notification, in-app notification, and email. Okay, I'm not going to do that. Some notifications are helpful, but too many can be really disruptive and you need to get through the workday. So let me point out where you should strongly consider turning on notifications so you're way more responsive to any potential sales opportunities or relationship building opportunities. And that would be these right here. Everything from connecting with others, which includes invitations to connect, posting and commenting, which includes being alerted when someone comments on one of your posts, messaging, which includes when someone has messaged you, groups, which includes activity in groups you've joined, and pages, which includes activity on pages you manage. When you go into any of these, you're going to see a whole menu of options, and within each one, you can choose how you want to be notified. Speaking of notifications, let's take a quick detour off of settings here. We'll come back in a second, and let me show you something that few people activate, and it's a huge missed opportunity. Think of someone on LinkedIn that you want to interact with more, so that way you're more on their radar. And this could be a potential client or a referral partner, but you don't always remember to proactively seek them out on LinkedIn, and it would be amazing if LinkedIn could prompt you. So go to their profile and click on the notification bell right up here towards the top. Now you'll be notified every single time they post, so you don't miss a single chance to engage with them. Now, if you don't click on the bell, you still might see some of their posts in the newsfeed, but it'll just be their top posts. And you're not going to receive any notification in the notifications section. So this notifications bell really helps you stay on top of things. Okay, back to the settings page. Now let's go back up here to sign in and security. Now my goal here is to make sure you never lose access to your LinkedIn account and all the hard work you've been putting into it. So go to email addresses and make sure you have multiple email addresses here. That's because if you lose access to one email address, you have other email addresses as a backup if you need to do a password reset. Note that primary email address is the one that appears in the contact section of your profile. It's the email address you want your potential customers to see, but the primary email address does not have to be the one you log in with. Now go down to two-step verification and turn this on. This will help prevent someone from hacking your account and then sending your connections some very questionable messages or even shutting down your account. Or if you find two-step verification a bit of a pain, and I get that, then at least use a strong password and change it often. Now that you've learned how to change your settings so you don't lose potential clients, your next step is to learn proven LinkedIn strategies so you can win new clients. So watch this video in the top right corner. Thank you so much and see you in the next video.